Okay, just to follow up here on the last question of the Chapter 16 homework is different in a couple of ways. So I'm going to work or cover some of the details of how you're actually going to put your answers in. Question 40 is about the hydrolysis of esters. Okay, so that basically means we already have our ester, whatever it is, and we're going to treat it with acid and some water, and we're going to get back the starting materials that we would normally think of when we make an ester. We'll get back our carboxylic acid and our alcohol. So the interesting thing about question 40 is in your little window where you draw your structures, you're actually going to draw both of these structures. So we haven't done that before. We've only been putting one answer in, but you're going to actually draw both structures, and that's what Mastering Chemistry is looking for, two structures in that window. So for this particular question, if this were our ester that we were going to do in the hydrolysis reaction, we would, our splitting carboxylic acid would be here, stick the H back on it, and our alcohol would be ethanol, stick the H back on it. All right, so you will physically draw both of these structures. Of course, you'll have to have a CH3, CH2. You'll have to have all your hydrogens shown. So you're actually going to put two pictures into that window. That is what you'll do for part A, C, and D. I think I have the letters right. When you get to parts B and E, it's a slightly different question. It's still a hydrolysis reaction. You may look back at your notes and see that you have, we'll use the same ester. Sometimes you can do the hydrolysis reaction in the presence of a base, like potassium hydroxide or sodium hydroxide. Okay, so I think the question in your homework uses sodium hydroxide, so let's use that. And the question is, what would the products be? And again, Mastering Chemistry is looking for all the products. So we're going to get a similar reaction. Our ester will split into its components. We will get our carboxylic acid. But in the presence of a base, we won't get the carboxylic acid. We will get the anion. That will actually be one of the structures that you draw. Separately, you will also show a sodium ion. Now to do that, you're going, and it's not attached to anything, you're just going to show it separately. You're going to have to choose at the bottom of your screen, more, and a whole periodic table will pop up, and you'll click on sodium. And then somewhere in the text, or in this picture window here, you're just going to drop in a sodium and right-click it to give it a charge of +1. Okay, so really this is the salt that we would have formed in the presence of a base, and so they're both shown as separate ions because they would actually be floating around in the solution. In addition to these two, we need to show this part when it separates, and it separates, of course, as the alcohol. So we're going to show it separately. So actually in parts B and E of this question, there are three pieces to the answer. So you have to show all three of them as separate structures in your picture window. Okay, and they're not attached to each other. You don't have to put pluses in there. You're just going to show all three of them as separate pieces in the picture.